And unfortunately, the job recovery remains sluggish in hospitality, which drives our economic engine. News 3 Steve Wolford is following the story for us, and he joins us now in the newsroom live. Steve, what have you learned?
Well, this is definitely a frustrating time for the hospitality sector of the Las Vegas economy, which continues to lag behind in job recovery.
We're really excited about the turnout that we've seen. I know that we're looking for 30 positions today.
Like so many other resorts on the Strip, Strat VP and Assistant General Manager Skylar Dice is trying to hire back to full staff by holding a job fair today for poolside servers. But hospitality jobs are still slow to return to pre-pandemic levels. Dieter says 67,000 people in Clark County's workforce of 1.1 million were unemployed in December. Nationally, a Bloomberg analysis of the latest stats from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows 151,000 hospitality and leisure jobs were added in January, but it's still 1.8 million jobs short of February 2020, just before the start of the pandemic.
We just got hammered.
Culinary Local 226 President Ted Papageorge says overall about 25% of his 60,000 members still aren't back on the job. Some are reluctant to return for health reasons. Other jobs were lost to technology, and there are outside factors tied to the pandemic.
But the critical international travel and business travel is not back yet.
Other jobs, he says, were lost to policy changes.
For example, daily room cleaning. If the idea that during a pandemic that you don't have your room cleaned daily doesn't make sense to health professionals and doesn't make sense to us, but that would potentially eliminate thousands and thousands and thousands of workers.
So until the job market gets back to whatever normal will be,
what we're going to do is take a wait and see approach for how today goes, how the hiring goes over the next month, 2 months leading into the season, and see where the season takes us. And that job fair at the Strat continues until 4 o'clock. And if you'd like more information on any job fairs all over the valley, along with where they're happening and dates, just go to our website, news3lv.com.
A series of violent attacks on campus, students accused of battery. What are staff and teachers supposed to do? Crisis in the Classroom investigative reporter Tiffany Lane has the details.
There seemed to be some sort of pent-up sort of tenseness amongst our young people. They've been going through a lot. They're experiencing all kinds of emotional issues.
Clark County School District high school teacher Ruben De Silva says he's seeing more fights on campus. We spoke with him after a viral video of a student striking another student at her desk just last week at another high school, Las Vegas High School. CCSD police confirmed that student was cited for battery. Also last week, district police say a 17-year-old female student at Legacy High School went to the principal secretary's office, said something to the secretary, then picked up her school radio and began to hit her with it. CCSD police say 2 employees tried to intervene until police arrived and took the student into custody. Many educators reaching out to Crisis in the Classroom following these incidents.
Do you think CCSD is good in telling staff members what they're able to do in these types of situations, or do you think that they need to be more clear on what involvement you're able to have?
I think the language is vague because it implies that, okay, we don't want you getting involved in a fight. We don't want you hurting yourself. We don't want you getting harmed. We don't want you putting your hands on the student, which could also, lead to a variety of other issues down the line. But on the same token, we need you to be adults. We need you to be the first line of safety.
De Silva says while the district has been vague in what to do, his individual school has been clear about protocol.
The general consensus, the general guideline here is that we need to keep our hands off of students and get the administrators or the school police or school campus monitors to be the ones to physically interact with the students who are having the fight.
But he says there have been times where he's had to take action.
I had to get involved physically with a student where I was in one of those situations where I had a student, grab another student, pull her hair back, and was just going into her face. And seeing that, I knew that there was serious bodily harm that could have occurred.
Marie Nisis, president of CCEA, the teachers union, said the union sent out an email Monday reminding teachers of their rights.
At the end of the day, the teacher is concerned about what repercussions will come to them. Will the parents blame them if they are too forceful, trying to remove one student from the other? Teachers are not school police. They're not trained to physically restrain students.
Staff, students, what do you think of protocol when it comes to violence in schools? Do you feel safe? Do you think it's set up in a way that will protect students during a fight? Reach out, schooltips@news3lv.com or 702-805-0489.
In the wake of that shooting near a local high school we told you about here last week, advocates continue to push for safety in all of our schools. Crisis in the Classroom investigative reporter Tiffany Lane shares what's being done to prevent violence in our schools and what some parents say still needs to be done.
Just last week, 2 CCSD students were among 3 people taken to the hospital after being shot near a school. While the incident was off campus, advocates say they're worried about what's being done to make sure students are safe in their learning environment.
It's impacting our children, whether or not there's a shooting on their campus. They see these things and hear them, and I refuse to accept that this is going to be normal in our country.
Liz Becker is with Moms Demand Action, the Nevada chapter, an organization created to stop gun violence across the country. She also has a daughter in the Clark County school system.
I do worry about my child, and all of us worry about our children, and we shouldn't think to ourselves, oh, I'm going to send my child to school and then, get a call that the school's on lockdown or that my child's not coming home. That's not acceptable.
The most recent incident in Clark County happened outside Chaparral High School last week.
LVMPD dispatch received multiple phone calls for shots fired heard in the area, as well as a potential victim,
leaving some students like this freshman who wanted to remain anonymous shaken.
We all got really scared, and we started praying for our lives and stuff, so I was pretty nervous, and then they had us locked out in the rooms.
Metro Police announced that 3 people were shot in that incident, 2 Chaparral students. While students on campus were unharmed, advocates like Becker say more needs to be done to keep gun violence away from schools.
And our organization really focuses on the gun safe storage aspect, because if the students don't have access to firearms, then they can't bring them to school, and they can't use them in a suicide attempt.
Back in June, the CCSD Board of Trustees voted to include flyers in student registration packets that talk about the importance of parents securing guns at home. Since then, from August to December of 2021, 17 BB guns, 14 handguns, a long gun, 73 knives, and 34 other weapons were confiscated at CCSD schools.
Sometimes, there will be a fight on campus and then students are searched, and that's how they're finding the weapons. In some cases, students have opened their backpack and a weapon has fallen out. Sometimes other students will report that someone has a weapon.
Is there something that you believe CCSD needs to do to prevent gun violence? Outside of gun safe storage promotion, Becker started going down a list of other actions she's hoping for, including mental health resources.
They don't have that outlet of enough mental health professionals to help them through this. And if there's unsecured guns in a home, it's an easy, solution that they think of because they're children and they don't think through the actions that they might be contemplating.
Crisis in the Classroom reported in December that the district plans to spend a portion of its $1.2 billion in COVID federal relief funding on supporting more than 130 social workers and 140 counselors. Here's what School Board Trustee Linda Cavazos has to say about mental health resources in the district and the role they play in preventing gun violence. Cavazos, also a volunteer with Moms Demand Action, says she is a survivor of gun violence.
What we're looking at right now is being more proactive and looking at the underlying causes. So I would have to say that we have some excellent programs in place right now as far as identifying when there's warning signs, but we also need more people. And that's what we're struggling with right now.
So what do you do about getting more people? She said in part.
For this next year. And our human resources department is working very hard at acquiring more substitutes, at recruitment efforts that are, shall we say, innovative, different from what we've done in the past, and not only recruiting people to our district, but then we have to keep them.
But is it enough? Some parents brought up the idea of adding metal detectors in our schools as a preventative measure. I took that idea to Becker and Cavazos.
I think it just adds to the feeling that students have of almost being like in an institution, like it's institutionalized, and it paints students as criminals, really. But, if there has been a lot of gun violence, Is that going to be a solution? I don't know. I'm not going to say one way or the other whether I think CCSD should implement something like that, but I know that that is, a discussion, but it's a discussion that also comes with a huge outlay of money.
So some parents feel that it would be very effective. Some administrators feel it would be very effective. Others are looking at the logistics. How long would it take to get 3,600 kids in the doors in the morning? What would that do to our starting and ending times and that's just been changed recently too, as I'm sure you know. So there's a lot of different perspectives.
In the meantime, Becker says the district needs to be more transparent when weapons are found at schools.
It is not acceptable to just say these weapons were found and then have no follow-up. What was done about that? How did that student get that weapon?
Gun and weapon safety is a complex issue that many parents tell me needs to be addressed immediately. What are your thoughts on the discussion we just heard from Becker and Trustee Cavazos? Would you like to see metal detectors at schools? Will more mental health resources help? Reach out to me on your screen school tips at news3lv.com or 702-805-0489.
Hi, everybody. I'm Reed Cowan from News 3 Las Vegas. We want to thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Remember, you can always see more of our videos by clicking on the video links. And also don't forget to click that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of our YouTube updates. Thanks for watching.